EA Play is a subscription service that, believe it or not, gives you access to EA games, and quite a hefty amount of them. Just recently, PlayStation slapped a deal on EA Play and PS Now that gave you a 1-month subscription for only $1. Of course, their plan is to have you completely forget about auto-renew, but for those folks who just wanted to try them out, like me, it was a great deal. So today we'll be taking a look at my opinion on EA Play. A video on PS Now will come shortly. Anyways, let's get into it. Alrighty, so as I mentioned, the main selling point of EA Play is access to most of EA's newest games. There's also stuff like early access, but that's more just an add-on than anything important. Right off the bat, for the amount of games you can play and the usual price of them, it's a phenomenal deal. EA Play is significantly cheaper than the other services available on the PlayStation, though of course with less variety and functionality. So I can't deny that for those who really want to play these games, this is probably the best way to do it. Even a full year subscription is really cheap, and that's a heck of a lot of time. Although, for me personally, as a whole, there wasn't a lot here I was into. EA as a company, I do not like. I'll try to not let my ego run wild here, but the negative influence their practices have had on the game industry are just very frustrating, and they never seem to face a whole lot of backlash for it. But hey, that's just me. Titanfall 2 and the Star Wars thing are the only reason I got this in the first place. I tried out some other stuff, some racing and sports games, but that's about it. Those two were the only I actually put time into. And in general, from what I tried, I don't know, this might be my bias towards EA popping in, but everything felt so lifeless and similar. But luckily, Titanfall 2 joined the party and made it a whole lot better. Because, oh man, I did like this game. It's hard to make a good FPS. That is something I have determined after playing so many bad ones, and only having a few that I would say actually feel good to play. Luckily, Titanfall 2 might just be one of the best first-person shooters ever. Doom still stands above it for me, just due to some minor problems, but it really is great. Combat is incredibly fast-paced and well done, with some great mechanics like wall running. I do feel like playing this on PC would be more rewarding, but it was still good. Apart from just the actual combat, I was surprised by how good the platforming and level design was. Seriously, like there's this time traveling level that honestly might be one of the most genius design mix of platforming and shooter ever. I didn't personally connect with the story or Mr. Titan guy that much, but it was enough to keep me engaged till the end. Actually, Mr. Titan guy is one of my major gripes with the game. For how much they advertise Titans, man, does the Titan combat pale in comparison to just the normal shooting. It slows down the pace entirely and forces you to engage with bullet sponge enemies in the most boring battles. No, more like tests of who has more HP. I was impressed by the normal enemy variety and how well they were implemented into making you feel awesome but also providing a good challenge, and Titans just kinda ruined that. But even that annoyance couldn't undo the amazing highs of the other sections. And I'd say Titanfall is a must play if you're planning on getting this service. Moving on, if there's one common comment I hear about EA Play, it's usually this: buy it, play Star Wars, done. Because Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a great deal for that price. And yes, that's true, but I have to admit I didn't end up finishing the game, and it wasn't because I ran out of time. I had loads to spare, actually. It was simply because I didn't like it. I gave it its fair chance, but after 10 hours when nothing was improving, I had to quit. I won't go deep into what I thought was bad about it, but I'll outline the pros and cons. The actual setting was very interesting and something we haven't seen from Star Wars before, which is rather hard to say nowadays. The story seemed like it had pretty decent potential, the characters were good enough, the opening was pretty cool and cinematic. But after that is when things went a bit downhill. When the game actually opened up, it did feel a lot like a classic EA map collectathon deal after a while, torn apart by tedious sections and honestly just not great combat. It kinda reminded me of Ghost of Tsushima, but, well, bad. Attacks were a lot more unfair, and I constantly felt like I was scrambling around not trying to die. Which I mean isn't necessarily bad, some challenge is good, but even with challenge I expect to feel like a badass Jedi sometimes, and that really wasn't the case. Dodging and countering was wacky and didn't feel good, force powers were meh, and it did just feel kinda restricted at the beginning before you get some of the better upgrades. So yeah, there was potential, and I know a lot of people had a great time with this game, but it wasn't my thing. And that's about where I stand with EA Play as a whole. It's cool and a great deal if you want to play a whole ton of EA games, but I don't particularly want to. So yeah, try to think about what you enjoy and decide if you believe you'll actually have a good time with EA Play. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, have a great day, and I hope to see you all again. Bye.